Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, California officially enters its worst outbreak of the whooping cough in 70 years. Then ExxonMobil gives teachers $100,000 to create new science programs in Torrance schools. Meanwhile, one teacher in particular is remembered for her decades of inspiration in the community. And it turns out if you're a fan of the holiday spirit and all the bright lights that come with it, you're already in the perfect city. These stories and much more are just seconds away. Your local news starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chin. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. Torrance has new representation in the 35th Senate District. Isidore Hall III was sworn in his hometown of Compton, one of the cities his region covers, along with the northeast section of Torrance, Hawthorne, and Carson. Hall will serve the remaining 2 years of Democrat Roderick Wright's term. Hall termed out of his 64th District State Assembly seat shortly before taking on his new role. Hall will be formally sworn into office January 5th. With Hanukkah kicking off and Christmas right around the corner, the most wonderful time of the year is upon us, particularly for retailers, with the National Retail Federation forecasting a 4.1% increase in consumer spending this holiday season. Those on both sides of the transaction seems to be feeling the spirit, but it's never been more necessary to keep up with consumers who have evolved in their shopping preferences and habits. Smartphones and the internet are almost always a part of the buying experience now, but still many find themselves heading into retail shops. A whopping 73% of the 1,000 consumers surveyed by Retail, a global network for location-based shopping information, said they plan to use their mobile phones as part of their holiday shopping. Now, using data from 4 different studies, this season's major consumer trends found the average person will spend about $800 this season, of which nearly $460 will be spent on gifts for family, $80 on friends, $30 on pets and babysitters, and about $26 on coworkers. Now, what's the most popular gift item to get this season? Well, gift cards, followed by clothing, books, CDs and DVDs, electronics, and finally jewelry. And with just about 2 weeks until the big day, Del Amo Fashion Center is extending their store hours from December 13th through the 18th. The mall will be open from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Then on the 19th and 20th, the mall will keep their doors open from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. to get those last-minute gifts. The mall will be open on Christmas Eve from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and closed on Christmas Day. Now, for more information, you can go online to simon.com and search Del Amo Fashion Center. Gas prices continue to drop throughout the U.S., with a few stations in Oklahoma and Texas selling at $2 a gallon. With oil at a 5-year low at less than $65 a barrel, analysts think it could bottom out at $35 next year. That could pull the nationwide average down to $2 from its current price, $2.67 a gallon. Experts say several factors are pushing gas prices down, including the increase in U.S. oil production, OPEC's recent decision to not cut production, weak demand due to an economic slowdown in Europe and Asia, and an increasing demand for fuel-efficient vehicles. According to GasBuddy.com, here in Torrance, the cheapest gas found on their site is at the corner of Crenshaw and 235th Street at the Arco station, offering $2.75 a gallon. And just down the street at the Torrance Costco, you'll find gas at $2.79 a gallon. Now, if you see a gas station with the lowest prices around town, email us at thisweek@torranceca.gov, and we'll be sure to share it with the rest of our viewers. Well, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention determined California is in its worst outbreak of the whooping cough in 70 years. As of Thanksgiving, there were just under 10,000 known cases of the disease, which is already 1,000 more than the 2010 outbreak. While whooping cough outbreaks aren't uncommon, it is particularly dangerous to young children. About half of those under a year old who catch it are hospitalized, with 2% of them dying, and that's according to the CDC. Infants aren't due for their whooping cough vaccine until they are 2 months old. So to battle that, the CDC is advising pregnant women to get their vaccine before giving birth. They say that will pass on immunity to their unborn child. Back in late October, parents at Arnold Elementary were informed of a student who had been infected. Letters were mailed to the homes of classmates asking parents to look out for symptoms and advising them to get vaccinations. Well, away from the pump, ExxonMobil presented Torrance teachers with a grant of $100,000. The annual STEM Awards, formerly known as the Pegasus Awards, honored 39 Torrance Unified School District educators with the grants. A maximum of $4,000 was given to each teacher after submitting their proposals for programs that increase student interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. 12 grants were awarded to the Torrance, South, West, and North High schools, totaling just under $41,000. An additional 25 grants and another $59,000 were given to Torrance elementary and middle schools. Paula Paulson and Tara Fink of Victor Elementary were awarded the full $4,000 to implement a timely water conservation program. And at Jefferson Middle School, Denise Chang students will be writing a CSI Jefferson Middle School episode with their $3,400. Toyota is back on the social media bandwagon for the rest of 2014, using Twitter and Instagram to drive their newest campaign. Through December 31st, every photo posted with the hashtag #BuckleUpForLife will earn a donation of 10 car seats to the program under the same name. Now, Buckle Up for Life works with children's hospitals to keep parents educated on car seat safety. As for the social media movement, Toyota also teamed up with the digital agency VaynerMedia to market their efforts. That includes buying advertisement on Twitter and Facebook, targeting young parents. Promos include pictures of kids in their car seats or even pets strapped into the car seats to grab the attention of the millennial generation. A year ago, Toyota ran another philanthropic campaign through social media in which user interaction raised $200,000 for the Boys and Girls Club of America. As survivors gathered to commemorate the 73rd anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attack here in Torrance, one local resident celebrated a big birthday himself. Joe Max Orr was just 27 years old when the Japanese attacked the Pearl Harbor Naval Base in Hawaii shortly after he joined the Navy, serving as a lieutenant until the end of the war. Now, he remained in the reserves until 1955 and since has celebrated his birthday by honoring the fallen soldiers of that war. And this Pearl Harbor Day, with the insistence of family and friends, Orr celebrated his 100th birthday with a little help from the city.
We were really honored to give Mr. Orr a proclamation on his 100th birthday. What a very modest man he was. To actually set aside his birthdays for all these many years just in honor of his fellow veterans or those people who lost their lives at Pearl Harbor. But my understanding was he was really thrilled to get that, and now that he's 100, he'll start celebrating all his birthdays, hopefully.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, the El Camino College Fire Academy is celebrating the graduation of Class 141 for the fall semester, wrapping up 50 years of training rescuers at the community college. Unlike a traditional graduation ceremony, this graduating class gets to demonstrate the skills learned in the field and classroom, from rappelling down a 4-story building to navigating a vehicle fire. It's also a chance for members of the community to see the Fire Academy's training facility that includes a training rescue tower and building where recruits take on live fires. Graduates receive state fire marshal certificates for several areas, including hazmat first responder and auto extrication, among others. Big 5 Sporting Goods opened up a new location in Torrance and celebrated with an official ribbon cutting ceremony. Of Big 5's 425 stores, 2 are now in the city of Torrance. Mayor Patrick Fury was joined by Big 5 representatives, city officials, and the Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce to see the brand new 12,000 square foot facility located on the corner of Artesia and Hawthorne Boulevard. It's the first new store the Big 5 has brought to Torrance in 29 years, but the city's history with the popular sporting goods store runs deep.
We've been in Torrance for 48 years, beginning with our first store on Hawthorne Boulevard, and then in 1985 we opened up our store on PCH and Crenshaw. But the original location on Hawthorne Boulevard we opened up in 1966, 48 years ago.
We have so many people are involved in sports, whether it's youth sports, adult sports, or senior sports. So having them here, I think, is a win-win situation for Big 5 and a win-win situation for our community.
The Big 5 store replaces Warehouse Music and Movies, which closed its doors less than a year ago. Well, Mayor Fury kept busy with ribbon cuttings and grand openings, and now a grand reopening of the First Bank. With members from around the community visiting, First Bank used the opportunity to celebrate more than just their new location. The Schweitzer Learning Center, which has helped children with learning challenges in the South Bay since 1966, received a check for $1,000. The Boys and Girls Club of the South Bay also received $1,000 from First Bank for its 5 South Bay locations, helping more than 4,500 kids in the area. Now on Hawthorne Boulevard between Centerway and Carson Street, First Bank is right in the thick of Torrance's baking community near Del Amo Fashion Center.
Across the street from the Del Amo Mall, one of the largest malls in the country, and this is also the financial center of Torrance. So we want to be part of that, part of the activity here, and we want to make sure our customers enjoy the convenience and the personal touch that First Bank has to offer.
Well, still ahead, Honda reveals its 300 millionth motorcycle, holding on to the title as the world's largest motorcycle company.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die.
Fortunately, Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes, you know, from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Welcome back. As the world's largest motorcycle company, Honda is the first to reach an unprecedented milestone of 300 million motorcycles made worldwide. Laura Fong was invited to the Honda headquarters here in Torrance for their big celebration.
A round of applause to Honda for their major milestone. In celebration of making their 300th million motorcycle, their Torrance headquarters hosted a special exhibit filled with key models that displayed the historic evolution of their two-wheeler.
And I think what Honda did for the U.S. market was basically change the image and the perception of motorcycling in the U.S.
Tony DeFranz is the press coordinator for the motorcycle division. He says Honda's legendary "You Meet the Nicest People in a Honda" campaign from the early 60s created a new motorcycle culture.
It became more mainstream to ride a motorcycle and more acceptable by Americans.
Honda began mass production of two-wheeled rides back in 1949 in Japan. It was there at their Kumamoto factory the 300th million motorcycle rolled off the production line. It was a 40th anniversary of their flagship touring bike, the Goldwing.
Honda can attribute their success to many things, like their dependability and their reliability, but for this milestone, one little motorcycle played a big role. The Super Cub has sold some 90 million units to date.
Dozens of Honda associates from different departments came out to celebrate the major milestone.
A lot of people that work for Honda, they're enthusiasts, they ride. I mean, we talk about motorcycles, you know, a lot of the day. So for them, this is important. It's pride that we've achieved this milestone.
Honda's dedication to their customers and response to their needs has been a key factor to their success, as well as their passionate employees.
We always listen as much as we can and then put that knowledge back into development.
And while Honda is the first to hit 300 million motorcycles worldwide, this is just the beginning. With their commitment to customers and quality products, they hope to see 300 million more. For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Laura Fong.
Thanks, Laura. Honda reached their 100th million mark in 1997, and now they build bikes in 33 plants in 22 countries. Members of the community came together to remember an inspiring teacher and mentor many knew simply as Dean. Laura Fong is back with a story of a woman who helped several generations of Torrance students.
A loving memorial was held in honor of Bernadine Schrank, better known as Dean, a woman who dedicated her life to her students and community for more than 5 decades.
A single life can have quite an effect on a lot of people. You can look around right now and see the impact that one life lived well can have, not only in a school, but in an entire community.
Schrank started at Anza Elementary School back in 1957 when it first opened. She retired in 2010 as the longest-serving teacher in the history of the school district, only to return a few months later as a full-time volunteer.
She was my kindergarten teacher. She taught me like how to speak in front of people, which I used here, and like how to read correctly. Everything I know now is based on what she taught me in kindergarten.
Angelina Oakley read a poem she wrote for Mrs. Shrink titled I Remember.
But here today I wear a smile, you see, the reason I will tell. Miss Shrink, you will always be my special guardian angel.
As former students and colleagues reminisced about Shrink's 57-year career as an educator, it was clear she was well loved and will be missed by all.
She helped so many people. She was just important because everyone knew her. She was so nice. She had an amazing sense of humor. Like, everyone liked her.
Shrink passed away in early November due to natural causes at the age of 84. In a statement, the school district said it was, quote, so fortunate to have such an extraordinary educator as part of our teaching family. Mrs. Shrink was one of those teachers who not only helped shape our students' minds, but she held a special place in their hearts as well.
It's just really a tribute to a life well lived, I think. Bernadine Shrink was a teacher here for decades, ended up teaching grandchildren of her original students, and so it's just kind of neat. You'll see is throughout the service, I mean, we have kids sharing music, we have a young lady singing, there'll be teachers and former colleagues and students sharing about her life, and just really a tribute to who she was as a person and how she used her gifts in this life.
And while Mrs. Shrink is no longer with us, her life has clearly made a lasting impact on the community. For Torrance City Cable, I'm Laura Fong.
Thanks, Laura. Shrink is survived by her 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. The Torrance Memorial Holiday Festival Gala brought hundreds of donors together under one roof, but it was a single necklace that stole the show.
The Dow Jones Industrial is high, and the Obamacare website is working. Time to spend money. $34,000 a year.
During the gala's annual auction, attendees were treated to an entertaining bidding war for a Cartier-inspired diamond necklace, highlighting the weekend-long event. Tickets to attend the black tie optional gala started at $300 per person, so it might not be a surprise to some that the 18-karat white gold necklace sold for about $33,000. The money raised from the necklace and all the donations, like a 3-night getaway to the Terranea Resort, were auctioned off, with all the proceeds going to Torrance Memorial's new Lundquist Tower, held under a giant 25,000 square foot tent in the hospital's employee parking lot. It's been Torrance Memorial's premier fundraiser for 30 years now. And Torrance also honored another local holiday tradition with the lighting of the menorah. Rabbi Gary Spiro, along with Dr. Rini Gosh, Athena Karim, and Reverend Patricia Wiseman, brought together some of the many religions practiced here in Torrance. The ceremony included the blessings over the menorah lighting, as well as introducing Hindu, Islamic, and Christian traditions.
It's Yvonne knew wondrous deeds for our ancestors in days of old. A candle can light so many other candles without diminishing itself at all. Thus, the flickering of candlelight helps to remind us of the precious fragility of our lives and the lives of our loved ones, life that must be embraced and cherished at all time.
Hanukkah begins this year on Tuesday, December 16th at sundown and concludes on the evening of Wednesday, December 24th. Well, still ahead, Torrance is your go-to city for holiday lights.
Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 58 years old.
8 years into the disease was when all the light went out.
For me, it was heart-wrenching.
Looking into the eyes of somebody with Alzheimer's, sometimes you just don't see the person's soul is like gone.
And it takes a toll on everyone. I mean, it's a depressing disease to watch unfold before your eyes.
She actually thought those of us who were caring for her and who loved her most were her worst enemies.
More and more responsibilities fell on my shoulders.
This disease just ravages a family.
It changes your life.
The magnitude of it is indescribable. My mother taught me to be in the moment.
We have to live in the moment with them.
And I'm going to be with that person right now in this moment, wherever she is.
Now is the moment. If we work together, we can stop this epidemic.
Contact Bright Focus and learn more.
Welcome back. We hope you have a pen and paper handy. Here's a few noteworthy events to tell you about. If the kids just can't wait to spy on Santa Christmas Eve, or you've missed him on his holiday sleigh in Torrance, there's still a chance to share breakfast with him. On Saturday, December 20th from 9 a.m. to noon, you can enjoy the annual holiday event Visiting with St. Nick at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. For more information, call 310-618-2930. And on Sunday, December 21st at 2 p.m., you can see the Nutcracker at the James Armstrong Theater. It is put on by the Dance West studio of the Metropolitan Ballet Company. Ticket prices vary. For more information, call the box office at 310-781-7171. LA Weekly named Torrance's Seaside neighborhood one of the best communities to see holiday lights. Located in the South Torrance neighborhood of Seaside, this list brought Torrance to number 2 on their top 5 places to visit in Southern California during the holidays. Now, of the nearly 1,200 homes encompassing this area, about a third participate in this tradition of decorating their homes. Thanks to the collaboration of the local Neighborhood Watch Group, the Neighborhood Homeowners Association, as well as the Torrance Police Department's presence to deter crime during this time of heavy traffic in the residential area. This has been a tradition dating back more than 30 years. Often referred to as Sleepy Hollow or Candy Cane Lane, each year the Christmas Light Decorating Committee, headed by the Seaside Neighborhood Association, awards homes that have done an outstanding job decorating as a way to say thank you for celebrating the holidays and encouraging neighbors to do the same. Now, if you'd like to take a drive through the beautifully lit neighborhood, you can do so through January 3rd. Beginning from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m., visitors are encouraged to come by early and park your car and walk through the area or drive through with caution. Visitors are advised to enter through Robert Road and PCH or Carlo Road and Calle Mayor. And this isn't something for Torrance residents to schedule on their calendar unless you are ready to jump on a plane to Hawaii's North Shore on a whim. Either way, Juan Hernandez shares a rooting interest for South Bay surf fans from a man who rode his first wave at Torrance Beach. Here's a sneak peek into the next sports desk.
Perhaps it's the exclusivity, with just over 24 out of 7 billion people walking the earth being invited to compete, that brought South Bay local Alex Gray to tears when he got his first invite.
Is it like as emotional for everybody else too?
Or the fact that Mother Nature decides to give us an event, on average, every 3.75 years, that makes the Eddy so special. If this winter gives us a swell large enough to hold the Eddy, Alex Gray, who caught his first wave at Torrance Beach, will be a part of that history. But knowing Alex, it's not the rarity of the event or being on the elite list of big wave hellmen that will make having a South Bay representative so special.
Thanks, Juan. Well, that does it for us on This Week in Torrance. If you missed any portion of our show, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. I'm Jin Chin. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.